Hey everyone, Golden Ninja 3000 here again. Today I'm reviewing Star Wars set number 75318, The Child. This set is for ages 10 and up, it's got 1,073 pieces, and it retails for $80 in the United States. This was released on October 30th, 2020 to celebrate the premiere of The Mandalorian Season 2. Now, the child, or Baby Yoda, did get a name in The Mandalorian Season 2. His name is Grogu. However, because this came out before we learned his name, I'm just going to keep referring to him as the child or Baby Yoda. This is a really awesome set because it's the next in the line of buildable sculpture style sets that LEGO has made for Star Wars, including BB-8, the Porg, Dio, and then the actual adult Yoda from last year. Here's the Baby Yoda minifigure. This was the second set that he came in after debuting in the Razor Crest set from September 2020. He uses the regular LEGO baby body mold, but he has a brand new head mold. Now, the baby body works pretty well. It doesn't work perfectly because, as you can see, the print for his coat isn't on the entire minifigure. It's just a little square on the torso. So that's a little bit awkward. And then he also has his hands pointing forward, but Baby Yoda in the show usually has his hands covered. So I'd really like to see a new piece for him, but this one still works pretty well. And that new head mold is really awesome. It's this rubbery piece and you can just pull it right off. Sorry, didn't want to behead him, but it just uses a little pull connection, that bar connection. And so you can put that on anything the size of a bar, just like LEGO mini doll heads. He also, for his hands, you can also hold on to them so a minifigure can actually grip them because those are also bar sized. So I really like the baby piece and I'm really glad that they actually made Baby Yoda as a minifigure. So here's the build of the set. As you can see, it's just the child. I really like this build. I know some people think that it's kind of creepy, but honestly, compared to the Yoda from last year, I don't think that this is anywhere near as creepy. You can see all around, he's built with this really rough texture because you have all of these studs pointing out. Some people hate seeing studs on LEGO builds. I will never understand why because it's LEGO, the stud is an iconic part of that. A lot of people complained about the UCS Millennium Falcon having so many studs, and I'm like, if you don't want to see studs, then don't build with LEGO, because sure, having smooth surfaces on something like the 1989 Batmobile is cool, but for something like Baby Yoda, I like that it's smoothed over at the edges of the sleeve or how it's smoother around the collar of his coat. But I like that the studded surface of the coat, because it really does give that kind of coarse and rough look that the outfit has in the show, because that doesn't look super comfortable. It looks kind of like a burlap sack that someone turned into a coat. So I really like the use of the studded texture here to achieve that look. So looking at this more closely, this is built in pretty much the same way to a lot of other large scale Star Wars character builds, where all of these pieces are just pasted onto the front. So you build up this rectangular core on all sides, and then you just put these onto the front. And I really liked that build style. I thought that this would be a really boring build. It actually wasn't too bad, which surprised me. So if you're on the fence about getting this because you think it's going to just be a pain to build, I'd say get it, because it was actually a lot of fun to create these surfaces. On the bottom, you can see he doesn't have any feet. That's in fitting with the show because we have never seen his feet, because he just kind of scoots along the floor in his little coat. So I like that they've achieved that look here. And you do have some random colors, but I mean, you never see them, so that's not a big deal. So you've got his sleeves over here. Those are also just stuck onto the side right there with some Technic pieces. Those are built in different ways. So this arm is hanging down. Because of the way that it's built, you can't actually move anything. Sorry. So you can't actually move the arm, but you can move the hand a little bit. So that's a nice feature. So you can move that hand because it's on a little ball joint, and then you can see you've got 3 little fingers, so you can tuck those in, and then you can also move them side to side a little bit just because of the pieces that they used there. So I do appreciate that little bit of articulation. It would have been nice to be able to move the arms, but again, that's not a big deal, and it looks great the way it is. For his other hand, you can see that he's actually holding that knob from the Razor Crest, which he kept trying to pull off of the gear shift stick or whatever it was in the show. I think that that's a really nice detail. I wasn't expecting something like that. So that's actually just made using 2 of those globe pieces in this metallic silver color, which is really awesome. And then you just have a blue stud on the bottom, and then that can connect to his hand right there. This hand is built in the exact same way to the last one, although the sleeve is slightly different because, as you can see, it's pointing forwards instead of pointing down. And so you could put the ball in the other hand too if you wanted, but I just prefer to keep it in this one. And if it, yeah, it kind of falls out sometimes, but you just have to like tuck up his fingers and then you can have him holding his toy. Now, the head is what creeps most people out. The eyes aren't built like the adult Yodas, like I said. Instead, you kind of have these angled plates back there giving you that eye shape, and then you have these boat stud pieces, like those round, like flat pieces, that actually have a little bit of printing on them. So you can see that there's like a little bit of dark brown printing around the edges of the eyes. That's a really great thing because, again, while it does look a little bit creepy, I still think that it's not as bad as the completely brick-built eyes on the last Yoda. And then his head does have a decent amount of motion as well. So you can tilt his head from side to side. You can even move it forward and back a little bit. So you could have him looking up and like to the side. You can have him like staring down. And as you just saw, his mouth can move as well. So you can open it an ungodly amount. That's like extremely disturbing. But you can also close it up all the way. I don't like it closed up all the way. I don't like it open a lot. So I like to keep it just like a little bit open where you can just barely start to see the gray of the hinge, because I think that that's the best look for him. But I really like how much you can move his head. You can move it 360 degrees. I thought that you couldn't, sorry. So again, kind of creepy, but there's a lot of motion there. And so I appreciate that because it really helps him come to life, considering that nothing else on this set can really move. As for the ears, those can also move up and down. So again, you can have him like looking up, like he's excited, or you can just have him looking down with his ears down and then he becomes really sad. And those are really simple adjustments to make. So I'm really pleased with how much you can change up his look because his ears are a very important part of him. I don't think that they nailed them. So we were just talking about studded surfaces. I really wish that this wasn't studded up here. I just think that it's awkward, like the depth change on top of the ear. And considering that so much of the rest of the head is smoothed over, I really think that those should have been smoothed over as well. Maybe not with a 1x6 tile if that doesn't exist, but then like cover that up with some smaller tiles. They did get that tan like inner ear bit in over there. If you turn it around to the side, the tan does poke out a little bit around the back. But that's not a huge deal because you're not really ever going to be looking at him from the back. And again, that's just a really minor thing that doesn't bother me too much. And I really like the shaping of his head around the back here, just again with how curved and like tiled over it is. I think that using smooth tiles on the head was definitely the right choice. I just wish that the ears were a little bit smoother. You do get a display plaque with this set as well. It says the child, and then they tried, okay? They tried to fill it up with information, but there's really nothing because, you know, homeworld unknown, species unknown, age 50, height, and then primary associate, the Mandalorian, and then favorite toy is the Razor Crest shifter knob. Like, I don't think every set needs a plaque, and I think that this is one that they definitely struggled to fill up because I think it's kind of a huge stretch to call something his favorite toy when he just played with it like twice. Although, to be fair, we didn't see him play with anything else. So I just think that that's kind of funny. But, you know, this is the same style as UCS sets. And then there's a little jumper right there for you to put the minifigure. And that looks fantastic. So I do like the plaque. I just think it's kind of dumb that they tried to fill it up with information that doesn't exist. Here are the extra pieces for this set. Here's the box for this set. It's pretty tall, but what surprised me was how deep it is. So this is a pretty huge box. It's pretty thick. And then around the back, it just shows you some of what you can do with the set. Here's the instruction manual for the set. It's pretty large, as you would expect from something that's over 1,000 pieces. And you do have some ads back here. So you've got one for the Skywalker Saga game. Don't think this actually came out in 2020 though. And then over here, I really like these because you have some of the sets over here from summer 2020. And then you have like the minifigure checklists on this side. And I always like to see like the minifigures laid out like that. So overall, I think that this is a fantastic Lego Star Wars set. I think it's one of the only ones that's actually worth the money. $80 is, I think, a great price for this set. Sure, like you could have wanted to see it at something like $70, but the Porg was $70. I think that was a little bit overpriced, but you know, this one doesn't feel bad at all for $80. I got this for like 20% off, so I was even happier about that. But at full price, this definitely isn't bad. And it's such a great thing because like Lego's made a bunch of different like Baby Yoda things. You know, we have the BrickHeads, we have the minifigure, now we have this set. So I really like the range of options that they're giving people based on like your price point. And an $80 price point, that's high. Like not a lot of kids can get like, you know, $80 or $100 sets, but I'm glad that they didn't try to make this even bigger, you know? This isn't quite life size. They easily could have made a $100 or $120 Baby Yoda that's like actually life size. And while I would have loved to see that, for a lot of people that would just be too expensive. So I'm glad that they didn't go like huge with this set. I think that this is my favorite buildable Star Wars character. Maybe BB-8 is like the only one that could beat it, but yeah, but I really love this one. I think it's really cute. It is a little bit creepy, but I do think like the cuteness outweighs that. And again, I just really love how you can change up like his facial expressions to make him look different. So I definitely recommend getting this if you're a fan of The Mandalorian and if it doesn't scare you. So that's it for today. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys with more videos soon. Bye for now.